Good morning, everyone. So glad that you're here with me this morning. So today's Friday, and on Fridays, I either do a 3D crafting project or I do fancy fold cards. And today I have two fancy fold cards to share with you. Last week I did a 3D project. You might remember it. I did this little slider box with the Lots of Heart bundle. And since we have Valentine's Day coming up, I thought it would be cool to do fancy fold cards using the same bundle. I also use these as my thank you cards for last month's orders. So it was kind of neat to be able to do some fancy folds. I had to make a lot of thank you cards. And so I really like making fun, beautiful wow cards, but when you're making a lot of them, you don't always you can't spend tons of time on each card, but you still want them to be a wow card. So that's why these two cards are both great because you can make a lot of them. You can choose which one you want to make, and you can make a lot of them without going crazy, but they still have a wow element to them. So they're not super simple, but at the same time they're not super hard either. So I like kind of having that balance. And the Lots of Heart bundle, I love it because it's a bundle that can be used for times other than Valentine's Day. It has a thank you in it, so it makes great thank you cards as well. So I also wanted to mention I always do a project sheet for my Friday projects because they tend to be a little bit more complex, and I want you to be able to follow along after watching the video and just take my project sheet and be able to just, read the dimensions that you need and follow along. And you can keep them in a binder, or you can keep them on your iPad or computer and just pull them up when you need them, but they're all in kind of one condensed form. Rather than having to watch my whole video over again, you can just take that sheet and use it as a handy reference. To get the project sheet, you need to be an email list subscriber of mine. It doesn't cost anything to be on my email list, but you do need to be on my email list to get my project sheets. So if you're interested in doing that, just look down below in the description of the video. There is a link to subscribe, and then you'll get my project sheets. And if you're already a subscriber, no worries. You should be getting my project sheets on Saturday mornings. So on Saturday, if you're not getting my project sheets, make sure that you add my email address to your address book so that you will start getting them. And if you need that, just hit the contact button below, and I will send you the email list that you need to add, or the email that you need to add to make sure that you're getting them. That sometimes helps your email list provider know that I'm actually a person you want to hear from rather than a spammer, which you don't want to hear from. All right, so that will be coming on Friday. And if you see anything that you need to look at today, a supply that I mentioned, I have my blog address for this particular tutorial listed below. If you click on that, you will be taken to my page where you'll find more pictures and the supply list for everything I talked about today. So without further ado, and good morning to everyone who's joined me so far, I will switch over to my other camera and we'll get started on our projects for today. All right, let me put my project sheet up here so I can see it and follow along. So I have two cards for you. Let's talk about this one first. This one is a thank you note card. And, on first glance, it might not look super spectacular. It's a nice card. It's got nice flow to it. But when you open it up, it's like that. It's kind of cool, right? You can see partial heart, and then you open it up and you can see right here that window is that heart creates that kind of that back window. So it's kind of like a, ooh, how would she do that? And then you can see that scallop heart from behind. It's a very simple but elegant design that I am sure that people will enjoy. Anyway, I've gotten feedback already and people like this card, so I'm glad and I'm happy to show you how to do it. So then this is my other thank you card, and this is a center fold card with a window in it. So kind of the hard part about this card is how to get that window in there. And then I've got a frame in there, and see, look, it opens up. Ta-da! Kind of neat, right? So it's kind of a different type of card, but it's also kind of got that wow element to it. So how do we do all of that? And that's how what I'm going to show you today. So let me set those cards aside for a moment. This is the Lots of Heart bundle, and it comes with the Lots of Hearts stamp set and the Many Hearts dies. You can buy both of these separately, but you'll want to buy them together because you'll want the hearts to match these hearts and the greetings. They all kind of go together. So when you buy these two as a bundle, you save 10%. So I'll put those aside for a moment. We will be using some of the dies out of here. Okay, let's get started with the note card first, because I don't know if it's easier, but it's smaller, so I'm going to talk about it. We are going to be using the basic white note cards and envelopes. These are great because they come pre-packaged, they have the envelopes in them, and they can be mailed with US Post. So they make perfect little thank you cards. So I'm going to grab one of the note cards out of here. If you don't have the note cards and you want to make a note card, the measurements for that are 7.5. No, sorry, that's wrong. They are 7 inches by 5 inches. Let me double check that. Yes, it's 7 by 5. Sorry, no half. 7 by 5. And this is already scored in half at the center. It's a very light line. So I'm just going to ignore that score line for now. And I'm going to put my own score line on this piece. So I'm going to grab my scoring board because I love scoring on my scoring board. And I'm going to score a line at the 1 3/4 inch mark. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I don't score too hard. This is going to be partially a folding line, but also a reference line for myself. So I don't want to score it all the way too hard. So I'm just going to kind of lightly score down the center. Not down the center, on the 1 3/4 inch mark. And you can kind of see, I don't know if I can get it in the light. Can I get it so you can see it? But oh, there you go. You can probably barely see it there. That is at the 1 3/4 inch mark. So it's like halfway to the center mark. All right, let me set that aside. And we're going to take this heart right here and Rococo Rose, and look at this line. I've got the indented side facing up. I'm going to flip it to the side that has the little bump on it, okay? And we're going to stamp this heart right along this line, centered on that line, as close to center as possible. So make sure this is inked up really well. I'm going to stand up so I can see where I'm stamping this, and I'm going to eyeball it, but if you want to measure it, it's about 1 inch down from the top. And just, make sure this particular one, you can press down hard on it. The other one with the buffalo checks, you have to be a little bit careful how you ink it up because you don't want the little dots in the center. I'll show you that one in a moment because we'll be using it too. So lift off, and there is the heart. Because I stamped it on the bump side, and because I scored very lightly, it's it will be it shouldn't have any problem stamping over that bump. That's why you want to do it really lightly. And then I'm going to put this away just for a moment, and I'm going to follow my instructions because you have to do this in the right order. So I'm going to take my die cutting machine, if you have any questions along the way, just let me know, because I want to be helpful. So I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I've got my number 1 plate, my number 2 plate, which is for die cutting, and my number 3 plate, which is my bottom plate. I need 2 3 plates. And then I'm going to put my note card on here. And there are 2 dies that look very similar here. I'm using the smooth heart one. These 2 dies look really similar, but this die here has 2 cutting lines on it. I don't want that one. I want the die that just has 1 cutting line on it. And so I'm going to take this. If yours gets curvy or bent because it's going through the die cut machine and it's kind of following the plate, sometimes I just bend it back just gently so that it's going to lay flat. And I'm going to hover that right around my heart that I just cut. Okay. And when I've got that centered, I'm going to take my second plate, and I am not going to put it on top like I normally do. I'm going to put it so that the edge is right on the center of that heart. Okay, and now I'm going to run this through, and it's just going to cut my heart halfway. Let me shove this back through. So let me show you. So you can see it's just cut half of my heart right to the score line. All right, let me put this away for a second. Now I'm going to come in with my note card, and I'm going to reinforce that score line that I just did, because I actually need to fold along it. But I'm now going to omit this center section. I'm not going to score along it. So I'll score down at the 1 3/4 inch mark just till I hit the heart. And then I'm going to feel and find where my score line is on this side, and then score the rest of the way down. Okay, so I've got that reinforced. Now I'm going to flip this card over, and I'm going to score at the 3.5 inch mark, which is the middle score line. So let me do that. So now I've reinforced. If you have the note cards, you'll be scoring along that score line again, because you want to make sure that it's centered. So 3.5 inch, and over here on this side it was the 1 3/4 inch. All right. So now we need to just fold this. So be careful when you're folding this. You want to fold, and this heart is not going to fold with the rest of the card. So it's going to fold like this. And then you can use your bone folder and reinforce it. And then you're going to fold it back the other way like this. Or you can, with the note card, you can come along like this and then fold it like this. So if you're looking at this, this is going to fold in like a normal card. When you fold this heart right here and it's not, this part's not folded yet, it's going to fold like this to the inside, and then you're going to come back and fold like this, and that's what makes that little heart window. So now let's do the finishing touches on this card. We're going to take a piece of scrap Whisper White cardstock, and this time I'm going to use this buffalo check heart. There is a little trick with this buffalo check heart, because I had to stamp a lot of these. I learned from that process. I don't know if you can see or not, but in those little indents, those little square indents, if you press down too hard on your ink pad, you're going to get ink in there. And if you smush the stamp really hard, you're going to get little dots inside of your buffalo checks, and you don't really want that. So I'm using Rococo Rose ink right here. And when I ink this up, my ink pad's pretty inky, but I'm just tapping. I'm not pushing down on this at all, but I'm going to tap it a few times to make sure that it really is inked up well. Okay? And then when I press down, I'm going to press down, but I'm not going to super smoosh this. Firm and steady, and just make sure all of the parts of the stamp have contact with the paper. You don't want one side that's, not gotten good contact. And then when you lift up, you should have a pretty nicely stamped heart. I would practice with this stamp a little bit before you use up a whole bunch of good paper. Use some computer paper and give it a whirl. And if it is an issue, then just do another one of these ones. This particular heart with the scrolly elements is a little easier, but I really love this buffalo check one, so I wanted to use it. It just requires a little bit different of a touch when you stamp it. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the Stampin' Cut again. I'll put this on here, grab my scallop heart, and I'm just going to center this, and then I'm going to run it through. Okay. And there is the beautiful heart with the scallops around it. And bring in my note card and some Tombow. And so I just put a little bit of Tombow. I'm going to just put it in the center. That way it gives me lots of room to move around without glue smushing into different places as I'm placing this. So I just I'm standing up and I'm going to slide this underneath, and I kind of want this to be centered behind here. And when that looks good, I'm going to press down on the heart. And so now when you pull it out of the envelope, you can just see that little piece. But then when you open it up, you can see the full heart. It's so cool. All right, one last thing we want to do with this card is I'm going to grab my thank you and back with the Rococo Rose. All my cards today are just using Rococo Rose. I'm going to have my card close, and then I'm going to stamp thank you right down here at the bottom. So if you make a big blundering error with your thank you and you don't stamp it well, you could always re-stamp the thank you and cut it out and put it down here at the bottom as well, and cover up any mistakes that you make. If you're a seasoned stamper, or you can practice a little bit, because this little stamp might throw off your whole card. So if you do make a mistake with stamping it, just cut it out and cover up your mistake, right? So there you go. Easy peasy. Well, kind of easy peasy, but it didn't take super long to make, right? Okay, on to card number 2. So this one is the centerfold card. So I'm going to start with a piece of regular Whisper White cardstock. Actually, I shouldn't say Whisper White. We've just switched to a new cardstock. Our Whisper White mill, or the place that used to make our Whisper White cardstock, has shut down, and we have basic white cardstock now. And I really do like our new basic white cardstock. I haven't used it in every single situation yet, but so far so good. I'm loving it. So this basic white cardstock I cut to 8 inches by 5.5 inches. You want to use the regular basic white cardstock and not the thick cardstock right here, because it's going to make it easier to create this card. We're going to take our scoring or simply scored. And this one we're going to score 8-inch side up at the top at the 2-inch mark and the 6-inch mark. All right, pretty simple. The trick with this card is to create that window in the center. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but this way I found is the easiest way. Okay, so now I'm going to fold this along the score lines. And you want to take a bone folder or something and make sure this is as flat as possible, okay? And then we'll do the same for the other side. These should meet up at the center. This is pretty important because this is going to be your window. Okay, I think I've got that about as flat as I can get it. All right, so with this piece folded, we are going to die cut. So let me bring in my die cut machine again. Still got it set up from before. Let me clear that out. Get rid of the shrapnel from the scallop heart. And that same heart that we used for the previous card, the one with just the single cutting edge, we're going to use that one again. Okay, let me get this set up properly. We've got a number 3 plate down. We're going to take this card and we're going to put the heart right on top of it. I wanted probably about 3/4 of an inch from the top. It's not, you don't have to have it exact. So since I'm not using a magnetic plate, let me just grab a little bit of painter's tape. I'll just use a little bit of painter's tape here and just hold that down into place while I cut it. Okay. And then I'm going to cut this right through. It's going to cut a hole right through to the back, so don't be alarmed. That's what you want it to happen. I've got it centered right along that middle line. So let's see if it cut right through to the back. Yep, it did. So right here, you can see it cut all the way through. But that's what I wanted. But it also gives you this perfect window in the center here. And that is what we want. Okay, so I'll set that aside. And let me see. Okay, I need to cut my frame right away. So let me show you how I did that. So I've got my scallop heart here. And I'm going to poke out the little pieces of shrapnel real quick. I'm just using, you can use a thumbtack or like a little pokery tool. Sometimes they stick in, sometimes they stick to the plates. They stick to the plates, then I use a little credit card or an old hotel key to scrape them off. And then the way I run this through, this is a scrap piece of Rococo Rose. And I'll take my scallop heart, and where did my little other heart go? It's still stuck with the painter's tape. Here, let me peel that off. And then you're going to center that. If your hearts, again, if they're a little bit bent, just bend them back gently. And then you can run this through. You can use a little painter's tape if you want to hold them into place. Just make sure it looks even coming around. That looks pretty good. And then we'll run this through. And what we're doing is we're creating a frame for the window. And there's another little trick with that. Okay, so now I'm just going to carefully peel these off. And there is my frame. Okay. I'm going to do one other thing. Actually, I've got it pre-die cut, so I don't necessarily need to do it. I was going to leave my die cut machine out there and do the other die cut, but let's do this first. So this is the opening right here, and I want to glue this frame onto here. So I tried different ways to do this. I cut the heart first and then I put it on here, but I decided the easiest way to do this was to glue the frame on first and then cut down the center. So I'm just going to take some Tombow, and this is the back of my heart, and I'm just going to put all the way around on my heart a little bead of Tombow. Also, right in the center, I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow right on the edges right here, because this is what's going to be cut, and I want to make sure it stays down nicely on both sides. So that's going to just give it a little bit of extra reinforcement. On the cut side, you have to glue this on the cut side, not the back side where it's not cut. Now you're going to take your heart and you're going to put it right around your frame. Take time, center it nicely, and then just hold it down for a few seconds so that it adheres. And then in the meantime, you can get your scissors out. This way, if your heart isn't like perfectly centered, like this scallop right here is a little bit more to one side than it is to the other. If I had cut this heart down the center, it wouldn't look so nice. So that's why you kind of want to have it glued right onto the frame. It's easier to glue than cut. And also then you just have to glue one side instead of gluing two different sides. I'm just bringing my scissors down that center mark, and then I'm just going to snip it. So now the top is snipped, and then I'll come in from the inside, move my scissor down the crack again, and then just kind of, you can kind of even feel it with a scissor where there's kind of a spot, a line where it cuts, and that is how I create that frame. All right, now I'm going to take a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock. This one measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I wanted to have it just so there's like a little bit of peak of cardstock on either side. I didn't necessarily need to do that. I could have made my heart piece larger so that I didn't see any of the Blushing Bride peeking out. But I thought this is a nice way to add a little bit of interest on the side. And then I'm just going to take this and put Tombow all along the back. It's just a light bead, not very much Tombow's coming out. You can probably see, but it's a very, very thin stream. And then I'll stand up and just adhere this to the front like that. Okay, so then on the inside right here, I have a hole right now. If you wanted to be sneaky, if you didn't want to show this hole and how you made this frame, you could take another piece of Whisper White cardstock and glue it into the inside of here that filled the whole space. So that would be 4 inches. I would cut it just a little bit under 4 inches because the space is exactly 4 inches. So cut it just under 4 inches by 5 1/2, and then no one would know that there is a hole back here. But as I was cutting it, I thought, wow, we could use that hole and use this die cut right here. I did this earlier. I ran this piece, this floral piece, through with a piece of Whisper White cardstock. Okay, you don't have to watch me do that, but I pre-cut it right here. And this is going to fit right inside the hole. And I'm like, that looks kind of cool in this case. So I thought I'm going to do that instead of covering up my hole, which would have been another option. So don't feel you have to do exactly what I did. But I'm just now taking some Tombow and putting it on the back of this piece. Coming along. I'm trying to hit, like, especially the edges, because those are the things that are going to poke up and I don't want them to poke up. I'm looking to make sure. It's very bright here this morning. I want to make sure I have Tombow on all of the right pieces. All right, so I'm going to start in the bottom corner. That's the easiest way. And then I'll kind of work my way up, kind of feeling with my fingers to make sure that the pieces are fitting inside the frame. Okay, I think it's looking good. See how pretty that is? I love it. Okay, so then the last thing I did was I created a banner piece to come across here. And oh shoot, I think I put my banner's Pick-a-Punch away. But in any case, I will go grab it. This is a piece of 4" by 3/4" Whisper basic white cardstock. Okay, here's my bunch. So for years, I've been calling this Whisper White, and now I have to switch to basic white. So it's probably going to take me a year before I call this by its new name. So I'll just stick this in this banner's Pick-a-Punch, feed it through that center slot, give it a punch on both ends. Okay, so it's going to fit across here. And for this one, I decided to go with this greeting here because it's long and skinny. My heart smiles just thinking about you. It's a great little greeting. Okay, and not necessarily just for Valentine's Day. So that's the nice thing about this stamp set. You could make it very Valentine's-y, but you don't have to. Okay. So the trick with this is don't put Tombow or glue on the whole piece. You just want to put it on half of your banner. Hold this closed and just glue it down. Now, when I opened this up, I thought it kind of looked unfinished over on this side. So if you want to, let me see, I've already got a banner cut here. You can take a second banner piece, the same size, and you can put it on the inside. In fact, if you wanted to, you could put another greeting on the inside. You could flip it. If you have another long skinny greeting, you could stick that or stamp it. And then I'm just backing this one up. So there's a spot for another greeting right in there on that banner on the inside piece. Okay, so the last thing I did was I just took a bow. I tied it from that tulle polka dot ribbon, and if I can find my mini glue dots, just grab a dot, put it on the knot, and then I'll just add it right here, right above my greeting. The bow is nice because it's sweet on the card, but it doesn't take away from the card because it blends really nicely into the white background. So it's just kind of a perfect way to blend or finish off the card. The other thing you could do if you wanted to you know, add a little bit more interest, grab maybe some pearl jewels or some of our new opal rounds and scatter them on the front of the card. That would look really nice too. This card, this color combination, I made it in pinks, but you could do it in blues, greens, reds, whatever you want. I just used a lighter color here on the background and the darker color here on the frame piece. And you know, if you look at the supplies that I used for the card, these two cards, there is a lot of overlap for both of these cards. So it's nice that, you know, you don't need 5 ink pads for this card. You just need 1 ink pad. And you know, this card had 3 colors of cardstock, the Blushing Bride, the Rococo Rose, and the white. This one only has stamping. You could also make this card in a regular size card. If you made it on a regular size card, I might like add something like a bow or some embellishments on it. For a note card, it's small enough that you don't necessarily need to add any embellishments, especially for thank you cards, because thank you cards can be a little bit simpler, right? So you don't necessarily need all the fancy stuff that you need on a bigger card. But if I was sizing this card up and making it the same size as a regular Stampin' Up! Card, I might add a little bit more to it. But that's just 2 different ways that you can make some fancy folds using the Lots of Heart bundle. All right, I am coming back over here. And now I'm going to talk to you guys and see if you have any questions or comments or good morning, Bling Bling Crafter. Oh, Pat, I'm glad you put your name there because everyone's usernames are often different than your real name. So good morning, Pat and Cindy. Cindy got up this morning early so she could watch me live. You must be in a different part of the US because I'm on, or you get up later than me. I'm on the Eastern time zone, and my alarm is set for 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm crazy. Even during the pandemic, I'm getting up at 6 and out the door in the morning by, right now we're getting out the door around before 7, 6:45. And we go for a walk in our park here, and then we come back and have breakfast. So that's my morning routine. Janine says she just got that set yesterday, and her granddaughter played with it last night. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this gives you some new ideas to use with it. I really like this one. I looked at the heart sets. I made myself so that I would only buy, there were 3 heart bundles, or 3 Valentine's-y heart type bundles. There were some other ones. I did get some other Valentine's bundles because I do love creating for Valentine's Day. I got the snail one, and I got the kangaroo one, which I think also kind of qualifies for Valentine's Day. I got all of those, and the alligator. Okay. You can tell I love cute little animals. But this was, I limited myself to one kind of more serious adult sort of heart one. And this is the one I chose because I love the dies in here. And I haven't used 2 of the dies yet. And these are 2 that I still want to use. This one right here. This one creates little negative heart holes. It would be nice to put down the side of the card. And then this one, this. I haven't used it yet. A bunch of scrolly hearts. This one creates, it creates a little strip of hearts. And this would go along nicely along the bottom of a card. So I want to still definitely make a card with those because this whole die set is very intriguing to me. And not to mention, one of my favorite dies, I think you remember it from last week, was a little XOXO or X heart die that is a negative, and I cut that into both sides of my little box right here. That was one of my favorite dies out of that set. I hadn't seen Stampin' Up! Come up with something like that before. Good morning, Terry. Oh, and there's someone from Iceland. Good morning. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Jacobina? Well, welcome. And Birgit? I'm terrible. I should be able to pronounce that. Birgit from Germany. I hope I didn't slaughter your name too much. Okay. And Sylvia's here and she's speaking in Spanish. I'm so glad you like the card. Pat says, I didn't think I needed another heart bundle, but after this video, I know I'm wrong. This is very beautiful. Aw, thank you so much. What catalog is the ribbon from? Terry, that ribbon is from the annual catalog. It's not in the mini catalog. It's been around for maybe 2 years now. It's a good, solid ribbon. I use it a lot because it is white ribbon you can use almost on any different card. The other thing is you can also color it with Stampin' Blends. So it's kind of versatile to have white ribbon that you can color if you need to. Now, if I were doing 50 cards, I would not be coloring my ribbon because that would drive me crazy. But for single cards, or if you're just doing a few, you could color it as well. And I really do love that ribbon, and it ties nicely. So I do recommend it. If you pop in the Stampin' Up store, if you do tulle ribbon, it should come up, or just pop on over to my blog. And down at the bottom, there is a link that you can click on the tulle ribbon and it will take you right to the store. And so it is totally available. Janine says the strip of hearts is awesome. Yes, I do want to use it. I haven't used it yet. It didn't fit on neither one of these cards. But you know, sometimes it's okay not to use every single die on a card. With this one, it would be really hard. I don't have all of my hearts on here right now. I'm missing the scallop and the other heart. But there are many, many dies on this. There's even a bird and a butterfly. So, you know, there's a lot to play with on here. A really good versatile bundle that you can use at times other than Valentine's Day. All right, guys, if you've stuck with me this far and you enjoy my video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I've got a little person that looks like me in the bottom of the video in a pink shirt. If you click on that, it will take you to the subscribe page and you can subscribe. And then if you click on the little bell, you can select when you want to hear from me. I think the options last time I looked was that you don't want notifications, that you do want notifications, and that you sometimes want notifications. I think those were the options. But anyway, you can, if you click on the bell, that's lets you choose your notification types. I also wanted to mention it is celebration right now. So for every $50 or $100 you spend with Stampin' Up right now, you will be able to choose a Stampin' Up reward. If you want to learn more about the celebration rewards, click on over to my blog, and there's a banner at the top of my blog post that you can click on, and that will take you to the celebration rewards page. I did a little video on the different rewards that you can earn for that. And the other thing is I do have rewards for customers who purchase from me. So this month, I always send out a tutorial if you order from me. And this month you can choose my new little Rolo's heart as your reward. You don't have to choose this one. I have over 70 tutorials to choose from, but this is the one that I created for this month. It comes actually, I show you how to make this cute little gift box, and look, there's the tulle ribbon again. Yay! So I love to use it on. It's such a great ribbon. So it has a little little gift box that you can put the Rolo's heart in, and that makes it a little bit extra special. That's just for ordering with me. If you spend $75 with me this month, I will send you pastel pearls. In February, around mid-February, these will arrive in your mailbox from me. So those are just a couple of perks, and thank you so much for joining me on my video this morning. You make my videos so much more fun for me because I get some interaction, and I really enjoy reading your comments and answering your questions if you have any. But thank you so much for joining me this morning. I will be back next Tuesday on Facebook with my live Casing Tuesday card. That's when I make over a card. So make sure you join me over on Facebook if you want to see that video. I also load it up onto YouTube after the fact, so you can also catch it there. All right, well, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully I will see you back here next week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.